book lovers, it is GSwiz here, and I am here today to get rid of some books. So, there are many books that I've had in my possession for a while that I've decided I've needed to part ways with, not just because I might not like them anymore, but because I need to make sure that I have space, especially if I want to move to a place eventually. The moving process would be difficult, and after moving out of home and being departed from books, I've started to realize maybe I'm not missing these books as much as I should have been. They spark no interest in me. Last time I did a book hunt haul was over a year ago, and I wanted to say why I wasn't feeling so joyful. Turns out it was for a different reason, but the unhaul was pretty much healthy for me. But however, this year it's different because I enjoy reading again. But the big problem is I've been separated from my books for a very long time, and I've had to really consider what I wanted to get rid of. I'm gonna start with the disclaimer. I'm sorry, I cannot send any of these books out. Same reason as my previous unhaul. I do not have the financial means to do so. And I understand that a lot of people will offer to pay for shipping. I still don't have financial means to do so. I have pre-committed to donate these books anyway. So technically, majority of my disclaimer doesn't really matter. It's just how it is. I'm doing this purely because it's my bookshelf, my decision, deal with it. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started with the book unhaul. I'm getting rid of the Magisterium series by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. I know, so shocking. I actually enjoyed the amount of the series that I did read. However, I am not that motivated to continue on with it. And if I want to reread it in the future, I will just borrow it from the library. I have no interest in continuing, not because it's not a good story, but because I just don't feel like it. But I'm not super motivated with this series. It's not one of my favorite series ever, and I don't actually see myself finishing it anytime soon. I guess we're gonna start with a never controversial one, guys. Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. Everybody has been trying to convince me that this series is the best thing since sliced bread. And it's not. This book wasn't great. I understand that people tell me to continue on, but I really don't even know how to describe how I feel about this book, or even better, how I don't feel about this book. I don't feel like it's gonna get better. I don't feel like I like it. I don't have an attachment to the characters. I think some of the characters have made some stupid decisions in this book. I can't get over it. It's actually very funny because the Australian publisher has contacted me for multiple books in this series after the first book has come out, asking me to help them with a blog tour or a review tour for the series, and they would offer to send me the books in the series if I haven't read it yet. You know, it sounded very tempting. But every single time I read one of those emails, I had to remind myself I did not like the first book. I shouldn't have to put myself through more if I'm not motivated to read it. It's not because I don't believe the book series will get better. It might have gotten better, but I can't get behind any of these characters because I think that they're all stupid. You can tell I haven't been on BookTube in a while because this is how I talk about books that I'm not a big fan of. I'm sorry to anybody who actually resonates with these characters. Like, I totally understand. If that is you, my favorite book series is also universally disliked. So I really get it. At the same time, it's my opinion about this book. I'm not continuing reading on with the series, nor do I see a purpose in why this book should be on my shelf anymore. Next book I'm just about to mention is another royal read, Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. I got really excited once I was able to get my hands on a copy, but it was pretty forgettable to me. I understand that there's also a sequel, and I could read that in the sequel, but I didn't love it to the point that I want to keep it on my shelf. If you guys look at that cover, it's hard with the glare, but the cover is just amazing. But pretty much a kind of petty reason to keep it because it's not like I really loved it, you know? Next book was sent to me by a publisher, and I never read it. Hard copy of The Disasters by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. I know that PC and Kristen Cast, they're a writing team. I haven't read any of their books specifically, and you know, I could give this book a shot, but it was sent to me unsolicited, and I don't really seem that interested in it, so I'm getting rid of it. The next book I'm gonna get rid of is a book that I had interest in at one point, and I no longer have interest in, and I'm no longer gonna keep it. Very sad because I've kept it for a very long time, thinking that one day I'd be motivated to read it, but also try to not think of anyone's criticisms of it and just go for it and read it, but that never turned out to be the case. That, my friends, is The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. I got rid of Emily Barr's other book in my last unhaul because everyone pretty much hated her book after this one. And I watched a lot of people's reviews on this book, and I was trying to justify to myself to keep it and to read it. But now that I think about it, I'm not at all interested in it. I really did love the cover. It was one of the big deciding factors in me wanting to buy it. I don't want to keep it anymore because I don't see myself reading it or even enjoying it for that matter. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is It Started With Goodbye by Christina June. It was okay. I don't see myself rereading it anytime soon, so bye. Similar situation with this next book. I really did like this next book, and I think that it dealt with a very important subject matter that we rarely see in YA fiction. However, I never see myself rereading it, and I've got to clear up space on my shelves, and that, my friends, is One by Sarah Crossan. This book was very confronting because it dealt with a subject matter that I've never actually seen in fiction, conjoined twins. Like, I've never actually seen representation for that before. If anything, this book still impacts me for that, but I don't see myself rereading it. And I personally want to give this book to someone who will read it for the very first time and will be able to be educated on that subject matter too. And personally, I don't know whether the representation was great or not, but it was good to have my eyes open to it. I can't see myself keeping it only because I have to make space on my shelf, and I don't see myself rereading it anytime soon. Another unsolicited book sent to me from a publisher was Devoted by Jennifer Matthew. If you guys don't know, Jennifer Matthew is the person who wrote Moxie. Now, of course, I'm very excited to receive books from publishers, but this one doesn't really sound like one that I will read. In fact, I've had this since probably January last year, and I've never picked it up. I've never thought of this book as something that I would add to my TBR. I'm gonna get rid of it because I want to give it to someone who is going to be more interested in it. Next book I'm planning to unhaul is The Most Dangerous Place on Earth by Lindsay Lee Johnson. So my former workplace, which was a bookstore, had a lot of book samples that they would get rid of, either because they were not going to sell the book or whether it was because they had arcs that they were just giving out. In this situation, this book was not going to be sold at the former bookstore I worked at because the former bookstore I worked at was religious, and I don't know if this is Christian. I think that's why they were like, oh, we received a sample but we're not selling it. Then I thought to myself, oh, okay, I'll take it home. But I never read it. Now I don't have any inclination to prioritize it, so Next book I'm planning to unhaul is The Undercurrent by Paula Weston. I think my friend was getting rid of books and I took it and I never read it. I realized I didn't really have any interest in reading it. The next book I'm planning to unhaul is Remember to Forget by Ashley Royer. I read this book. It was okay. Don't see myself rereading it. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I have watched the miniseries, and so that's technically kind of ruined any chance of me wanting to read the book. Next book I'm planning to unhaul is kind of a controversial one, The Beast's Heart by Leafy Shallcrust. It's a very universally popular opinion that it's not a very loved book, but at the same time I was really excited to get this art. I was really looking forward to it, and then I heard that it's really bad. And you know what I did to myself once again? I read someone's review. Actually, no, I read more than one person's review, and I kind of think it has tainted the book for me. I'm very conflicted about it, but I don't think I'm gonna keep it, unfortunately. The next load of books that I am planning to get rid of is The Dune Quartet by Carrie Corp and Laurie Langdon. I know, I've had these books on my shelf for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure I've only read Dune. I've never had the motivation to continue, and they are so beautiful. These are probably some of the most beautiful covers I have ever seen, and I've pretty much almost kept them for these reasons, because I think that they're beautiful covers and I think that they deserve to be marveled at. But if I'm never gonna read them, what's the point in keeping them on my shelf? I'm just gonna have to keep taking these books around with me, and I'm just never gonna read them. That's the case with Dune. So I guess I'm never gonna read the Dune Quartet. It's not actually something that's up my alley. I just really love the covers. I think that the concept is really cool, but at the same time, I don't wake up in the morning and look at my bookshelves and think, oh, Dune, yes, I'll read you soon. No. I never think that. The next thing I'm planning to unhaul is Jughead by Chip Zdarsky and Erica Henderson. I love Erica Henderson's art style because I read The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I also liked Jughead when I actually watched Riverdale. I actually have no interest in the Archie comics. I did buy the Archie comics at one point thinking that they would be like Riverdale. I had interest in Riverdale back in the day. I have no interest in Riverdale anymore. I really just don't want to think about these characters anymore. That's how much Riverdale has upset me. And I'm so happy I quit at season 3. The next thing I'm planning to get rid of is Imposters by Scott Westerfeld. There has been a cover change for this series, pretty much why I'm getting rid of it, but I was also sent it by Alan and Unwin. I technically got it for free, and I don't see myself reading this series anytime soon because Uglies was okay. I liked the first book, the third book was okay, didn't really like the second book. Next book that I'm planning to get rid of is The Lost Girl of Astor Street by Stephanie Morel. It was a cover buy. It's very beautiful, but I've never been inclined to pick this book up, only just because of its cover, not because of its premise or anything like that. So I've got to give it to someone who is a lot more interested in it than I am. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is Lena Finkel's Magic Barrel, which is a graphic novel. I bought this from a bargain bookstore because I remember the prices were like 3 for $10, but like 1 for $7. I wanted the 3 for $10 deal, so I bought this one. Not interested in it at all though. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is Fire Study by Maria V. Schneider. Now I'm not too sure if anybody in Australia identifies, but in Australia there were 2 different sized paperbacks for Fire Study. For the rest of the series they were all the same paperback, they were this shape, but then Fire Study was published twice, in a tall paperback in a short paperback, and I could never find the short paperback anywhere. And then when I found the short paperback, I bought it. But I didn't buy the rest of the series. I just bought the short paperback because I wanted it to match the series for when I bought the series, and then I bought the box set. So what's the point? The next book I'm planning to get rid of is All of This Is True by Lagade Peñaflor. This is an arc of a book that was given to me, and people were talking about it, but when it came out, like, I wasn't even interested in it, and yet I still kept it. I think I was a little bit afraid to get rid of arcs and unsolicited copies back then, but I think it's taken a lot of years of ruthlessness when it comes to making space on my bookshelves for me to decide what do I want to read and what I don't want to read. Because there are some unsolicited copies that I obviously do want to pick up and I do want to read, but there are some that I just can't make time for or space for. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Forget Tomorrow by Pintip Dunn. This one's a little bit difficult for me to get rid of. I might buy these in paperback. I just know the reason why I have to get rid of this one is because this copy and the second book in hardback have gone out of print. I don't want to spend heaps of money having to buy the hardbacks, because if you guys believe it or not, sometimes I do that. If I see a book in this series is in hardback that is not in print, I will spend like $50 or $60 to buy that hardback in the series. And I figured I'm not reading the series now anyway, like I might read it in the future, so I might just buy these in paperback. But I have no interest in reading it now. Oh my gosh, yes, I am going to be hammered for this. I'm getting rid of the Hogwarts Library by J.K. Rowling. I'm getting rid of this because I like the Harry Potter series, yes, but I've come to the conclusion that I'm never gonna read these books, nor do I see the point in keeping them on my shelf. I wasn't a child who grew up on Harry Potter, so it's not that sentimental to me as it is with a bunch of people. I understand if Harry Potter is sentimental to you, but personally for me, I have no interest in reading any of them, really, nor do I have any interest in supporting JK in the future. It's controversial, but it's just something that I feel better about not doing.
Hey everyone, this video was filmed way before the recent things that JK has come out and said. These were my reasonings beforehand, but obviously I have further reasoning. I have felt this way for a very long time. I understand that it has taken a lot of people to hear what she has recently said to stop supporting her and buying things from her, but this has been my stance for a pretty long time. I haven't really shared it on my channel till this point. This video was filmed back in April, but this has been my stance for pretty much, I'd say, a year, not just because of the transphobic things that she said. She's also said a bunch of other stuff that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. This isn't something to make you feel bad or guilty. This is just my personal opinion. This is the opinion of so many other people in the booktube community, and I respect that opinion. But if you find yourself sad not being able to express your opinions about the Harry Potter series, I get it. I'm sorry if we do make you feel uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, this is our decisions.
The next book I'm planning to unhaul is A Matter of Trust by Liz Wheel. This was in the bargain book section at my former workplace, and I thought to myself, hey, the cover looks cool. She has a gun and everything. It seems very intense, but I'm not really into crime, and this is crime. What was the point, really? It just looked like a BA cover, but that's pretty much it. Speaking of Harry Potter, it's about time. I'm gonna miss that about this book. Is that justifiable to keep on my shelves? No. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is a cursed book. Do I think that it was written well? No. There were plot holes, and JK approved of this. There are many more things for me to be mad at JK for, but this is just the start. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tchotchke. I'm really sad about this one because I started it and I was not getting into it. Guys, I genuinely tried with this book. I didn't actually have big interest in it. I actually received it in the YA Chronicles subscription box. Not too many of my friends have been crazy about it. They've just been okay with it. I didn't feel like continuing on. I wasn't attached to any of the characters. The cover is very beautiful and the concept is pretty cool, but personally, I don't think I can keep it. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is really sad because I actually really did like this book, but I don't see myself rereading it anytime soon, and I've got to make space. Because like I said, with all these books, it's not easy to get around. I actually listened to this one on audiobook before I bought it in physical copy, and I think I might do the same if I plan to revisit this book in the future. And that, my friends, is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. Guys, I haven't talked about this book enough on my channel, but this book is really good, and I do want to reread it in the future, but I actually see myself listening to it on audiobook more than I see myself reading the physical copy. I really enjoyed the audiobook and how engaging it was. I definitely do recommend anybody who wants a contemporary that will make them laugh and cry. I really do recommend Far From the Tree. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is a good contemporary that I did enjoy. I'm kind of sad that I'm getting rid of it because of nostalgia reasons, but at the same time, I don't see myself rereading it. Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. Everything Everything was a very cute contemporary. It's very memorable, so I don't think I'm ever really going to go back to it. If I do want to go back to it, I could just watch the movie. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is The Bells by Danielle Clayton. I was excited about this book at one point, and I don't actually think that this book is bad, but I actually have no inclination to either reread it or to continue on with the series. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a little bit inconsistent with what I've said previously, but I don't see myself reading this one anymore. You Don't Know My Name by Kristen Orlando. I've talked about this book on my shelf for a very long time. Maybe it's because of how much guilt I had not picking it up. I was telling you guys that, of course, like, I grew up wanting to be a spy, and that's pretty much what this book is about. But however, I've read reviews of people that I trust. It actually doesn't seem like something that I would want to pick up based off of those reviews. I'm gonna trust them once again, and I'm gonna say goodbye. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth, because I have a hardback already, and I understand that there was a controversy. This has kind of always been the thing that has been very hard for me to talk about on my channel, because obviously I love Veronica Roth, but I do have to acknowledge that she could have written some things in this series better. But based off of the statements and the evidence that she's given about Carve the Mark, I can't say that she deliberately made these mistakes. She has obviously made mistakes in writing Carve the Mark. I'm happy that she has addressed it. She didn't turn away from the controversy, but however, the Carve the Mark controversy situation was actually a good example of why authors do need to be careful of how they write different races within their books. That's what I'm gonna say about it. I barely address it on my channel, to be honest. I understand that I do talk about Veronica Roth, and I love her writing a lot, and I personally just wanted to address this only because some people might think that I'm choosing to be oblivious to it. I'm not oblivious to it whatsoever. Getting rid of my paperback of Illuminae. I've been trying to get rid of it for a very long time, and I haven't gotten rid of it, and so I'm gonna get rid of it because I have the hardback. My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. I'm not keeping it because I'm not really interested in. I just really wanted it from my friends because it has a really cool spine and cover. Controversial, but it had to happen eventually. Adolescence by Gabby Hanna. I'm finally getting rid of it, guys. I'm not supporting Gabby Hanna with my money anymore. Another poetry collection I'm getting rid of that's less controversial is Ragged Edges, Poems from the Margins by Charles Ringma. I think I read this one and it was okay, but I have no inclination to keep it. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I really loved the book and I really loved the movie, but I don't see myself rereading it anytime soon. I've had this book on my shelf for years, and that is J.R.R. Tolkien's version of Beowulf. I don't see myself reading it. I just kept it on my shelf to look sophisticated. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. It's not that I don't plan on reading the series, but I figured if I'm ever gonna get the series, I'm gonna buy the box set. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Girls of Paper and Fire. I have no interest in reading this book anymore. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Oasis by Katja de Becerra. This is an advanced reader copy. I think this is a horror? I don't read horror. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is a sad one for me personally. This one's gonna be really hard for me to get snatched away from me, but Black Widow Forever Read by Margaret Stoll. I didn't really enjoy this book, and I don't see myself actually continuing on with the series. And the hardest thing about me getting rid of this book is definitely the hardback with the Black Widow symbol. I really love Black Widow as a character, but this book was barely about Black Widow. It was about Red Widow. Should have been called Red Widow Forever Read, not Black Widow Forever Read. Descendant of the Crane by Joan Heath. I didn't even record on my Goodreads that I read it. I actually think I DNF'd it. I actually just didn't enjoy it. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is Truly, Wildly, Deeply by Jenny McLaughlin. I only bought this book because of the cover, and I never read it. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Agent Nomad, The 11th Hour. I'm getting rid of this one because it was one of the free books from my friend. I didn't see myself reading it anytime soon, so I'm getting rid of it. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is a book that I also cover bought, and that is Oh Yeah, Audrey by Tucker Shaw. It's beautiful, it's everything, but apparently it's not good, and I have no interest in reading it. I don't even have an obsession with Audrey Hepburn. I just wanted it because it looked pretty. Next two books I'm planning to get rid of, I'm actually having a lot of regrets about this, but I have no space. I need to get rid of Refugee Boy and Gangster Rap by Benjamin Zephaniah. This guy is from the UK, I'm pretty sure. His books were recently published in Australia within the last few years. Bloomsbury sent these to me, and it was very nice of them to send these to me, but I don't see myself reading them anytime soon. And if I do crave reading them, I will probably borrow them from the library. Never Huntley Fitzpatrick book. What I thought was true. Again, beautiful cover, beautiful spine. That is the only reason why I kept it. An Arc of Just Saying by Dandy Daly McCall. Dandy Daly McCall was a childhood favorite author of mine, and this is another middle grade contemporary book. I really liked the Blog On series by her, but now that I really think about it, I think those books were really cringy. Nana bought some for me from the Christian bookstore, so I read a couple of them and I enjoyed them at the time. Now that I think about it, I don't think I'm going to enjoy something from her now. Another thing I'm planning to get rid of is Anne of the Island from Ellen Montgomery. This is a part of the Anne of Green Gables series. I think I have the first Anne of Green Gable book, but like that's a special hardback edition. It's a different case, whereas this is just something that was given to me by my auntie. If I want to read the rest of the series, I will buy the rest of the series. Zodiac Legacy series by Stan Lee, Stuart Moore, and Andy Tong. I like Stan Lee, but I have no interest in the series. I just bought these books because Stan Lee's name was on them. The next two books I'm planning to get rid of are Emery Lord books, and this is so hard for me because they are beautiful, they seem intriguing, but I don't see myself getting to them anytime soon. The Start of Me and You and Open Road Summer. These books are beautiful, and I've heard a lot of things about them, but I don't see myself keeping them because I don't see myself reading them anytime soon. And if I feel like reading these, I will support my local library and I'll pick these up there. These for me might just be one-time contemporaries, and at the moment I can't dedicate too much of my shelf space to that. I am only using, I'd say, 7 out of my 11 bookshelves now. A lot more room in my space has been taken up. The DC Icon series, which consists of Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo, Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu, and finally Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J Maas. I'm not planning to keep these books because they're not great. But not only that, I don't know if I want to support Matt De La Pena after the confessions people have come forward about him. I don't want to support him with my money, but also it's just okay. I'm never gonna reread them. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is a Never Comic Book Hero based book, Avengers Infinity War, The Cosmic Quest, Volume 1, The Beginning. We're past Endgame. I'm not gonna reread these now. I read what I needed to for Endgame. That's pretty much it. This next group of books are arcs that were given to me by my workplace. That starts with Solo by Kwame Alexander. I'm personally not gonna reread this book, so I don't see the need to keep it. Dune by Carrie Corp and Laurie Langdon. This is just an arc copy of the book I was unhauling before. Guilt Hollow by Laurie Langdon. I was just given this one and I was like, yeah, cool, I'll keep it. Didn't have any interest in it though. And then in 27 Days by Alison Guraviz. Same reason. Just kept it. I was just like, oh, free arc. Little did I know that shelf space was gonna be very important eventually. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is The Eternity Cure by Julie Kigawa. The reason why I'm planning to get rid of this one is because the rest of the books in the series, at least of these editions, are out of print. I might just read the series eventually if I can find matching editions. I do not want to spend heaps of money on the other editions just because they're out of print and people are selling them secondhand for like 3 times the price they were selling before. Next book I'm planning to get rid of is Olivia Twist by Laurie Langdon. I've never been a fan of Oliver Twist, and then when I saw this cover I was like, yeah, I have to buy it. I know, I'm a horrible person, I get it. The next book I'm planning to get rid of is The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. I get it, I was talking about this book, but I had started it and I had struggled. This is not exactly what I expected the book to be. It is very hard to get through. I don't know if I can continue on with it. Just for now, I got a chunk through it and I'm not gonna continue on with it. For now. Maybe when I've grown and I've matured and I'm 40 years old or something like that, I will put myself through it. If I'm really bored. The next book I'm getting rid of is Eleanor and Park. So I never saw myself getting rid of this book, but I am. Like, it brings back those nostalgic feelings back in 2014, but I'm never gonna reread it. I also don't really like Eleanor and Park's romance either.
There's another thing that I am not at all a fan of. From what I've seen based on reviews, I'm pretty disappointed in the way Rainbow Rowell did write her Asian characters. Definitely needed to be improved on, but also called out earlier. This is something I want to personally apologize for not seeing earlier when I first read the book, because as much as nostalgia had me holding on to that book, I really had to let go. That is another reason why I'm not at all a fan of Eleanor and Park, nor will I be endorsing it again on my channel. From what I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Rainbow has not made a statement about Eleanor and Park. If she has, please share that with me, because from what I know, she has not, and people are still calling her out on it.
Oh my goodness, another Emery Lord book. This is hard. I don't see myself rereading it in the future. And it was a really good book. That's the names they gave us by Emery Lord. Like I said, never gonna reread it. I feel like that's gonna be a common case with contemporaries now. I'm not going to extend my arm out to contemporaries as often because I don't read them as often anymore. If I'm really excited about a contemporary, I will buy it. But it's gonna be very rare that I buy contemporaries from now on. Another Marvel book I'm getting rid of, Iron Man The Gauntlet by Ian Colfer. I'm planning to get rid of this one because I'm never gonna read it. It's gonna be weird reading him in book form. I think that Black Widow has not ruined me for Black Widow, but made me sad. I'm hoping that this doesn't ruin me for Tony Stark. He's been given his ending. I'm just gonna move on. I've had this book on my shelf for so long, probably since 2014, and I have to get rid of it now because if I'm not gonna get rid of it now, I'm never gonna get rid of it. And that, my friends, is The Hunger Pains by the Harvard Lampoon. This is a parody of the Hunger Games. I've tried to get rid of this on so many occasions, but it just keeps on sweeping me back. I've read the first few pages and I keep on laughing at the first few pages. I could probably just read an ebook if I'm really desperate. Last book before the final controversial series, Invictus. I've been recommended this book non-stop and I've never had the inclination to read it. I pretty much bought it based off of peer pressure. People keep on saying it's like Guardians of the Galaxy meets Firefly and stuff like that, but yeah, I've read books that have similar premises to that and I'm not a big fan of them. But what would make Invictus so special to me? I don't know. Okay, we've come to the final controversial lot. All 6 books of the Fallen Kingdom series and then the spin-off. So the spin-off series has been cancelled indefinitely, and I only just found that out last week. I have had the last book on pre-order for so long. I'm happy that after waiting for so long, Book Depository have granted me a refund, and I thought to myself, I could read this trilogy and maybe see the series from new eyes, but I got series fatigue after book 4, and I don't see myself rereading the series. It was fatiguing for me. I only picked up the spin-off trilogy because I wanted to love the series even more. Now that this book ends on a cliffhanger, and I know that it ends on a cliffhanger because I've been told that, and there's no 3rd book, what's the point? I am going to say goodbye to these amazing looking books. These books that kind of made me happy at one point, but I can't justify me keeping them. I apologize to the people who have recommended this series to me. It was a good series. I just wasn't a big fan of it probably halfway through the series. I'm not looking forward to reading the spin-off trilogy if I know that there's not going to be a definitive ending. I guess that's going to be it for this video today, book lovers. I am not going to change angle because that is just too exhausting. And you know, people are going to unsubscribe. I'm not new to that at all. But even if you don't happen to agree with me, and if you still want to follow me, if you still want to love me, you can follow me on my social medias. I'm at gswizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also at Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
How did I win half and I flipped it in a double? How did I win half and I flipped it in a double?